Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The Midday News is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM. We are also live on myjoyonline.com. We are live in all 16 regions. We are on Amenuveve FM in Apawu, Ganga FM in Jirapa, ATL FM in Castle FM in Cape Coast. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol. Your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDP pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplus goes, water always flows. Coming up in this edition, CSOs make fresh push for termination of GRA and SML deal and calls for prosecution of officials involved after the full KPMG report revealed that there were no parliamentary, PPA and board approvals, and SML was also paid 1.4 billion instead of the 1 billion cedis reported by the presidency.
We asked for the termination of the contract, which is very clear, actually, and then prosecution of SML officials and the Minister for Finance and his people, Furiata and his people, for causing financial loss.
We have more from this raging controversy where the KPMG report says SML contributed to closing some revenue gaps, but Manasseh Azuriawene, who did the investigation, is challenging this.
The question we should be asking KPMG is how can you attribute the growth to SML? Because there are many companies that are doing these services.
You ought to stay for more exclusive details from the full KPMG report. Also, government, the NDC and some anti-corruption coalition clash over SNIT attempt to sell off stakes in some 4 hotels to the Food and Agricultural Minister Brian Echampong.
Is it only because this person is also politically exposed, all of a sudden his credit score is not taken into consideration?
An honorable member of parliament who is also a minister of state buying state property.
Meanwhile, the management of pension funds is in focus as some civil society groups are alarmed at what they describe as a potential danger facing pensioners in the wake of SNIT's handling of its investment.
I don't think people recognize how much of a crisis we have. You know, when the bond thing came up and we saw some of our elderly people picketing our Ministry of Finance, that's the likely trajectory we are all facing.
And also this afternoon, leading member of the Movement for Change, Hobson Adoye, charged with spreading false news about hiring individuals to detonate dynamite in the Volta region during the 2016 elections.
Master, what is this? I'm talking to my mother and then you are preventing me. Please, let me talk to my lawyer. What is the meaning of that?
I bring you live updates from the court, plus the very latest, and also tell you why the Supreme Court ordered substituted service on MP for Tolon Habib Idrisu after almost 2 years of the MP evading service. We have sports.
Ghana's dream of retaining the amputee Africa Cup of Nations title is in jeopardy due to lack of support from government.
And later, some disturbing findings of a research conducted that shows that some young ladies in Ghana engage in sex to be able to purchase sanitary parts during their menstruation.
The findings that blew my mind was where girls have to go in to have sex with their male counterparts for them to get money to buy this sanitary products.
Details of that and more here on the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Welcome. Please do stay on. Many thanks for your company. Let's digging now. An SML revenue assurance deal. Civil society organizations are talking about it. They are making a fresh push for the termination of the revenue assurance deal with the Ghana Revenue Authority. They are also demanding the prosecution of states and SML officials who were involved in the execution of this deal. Well, this demand follows the publication of the full KPMG audit report by the presidency. The report, among others, reveals the GRA board did not deliberately or approve the deal, especially the contract signed in 2018 and 2019. We will hear from the CSOs, but Manasseh Azuriawene and the opposition NDC shortly. First, though, my colleague Kweku Asante joins me in studio with details of this particularly voluminous report. He's been going through it and will help us break it down. So, Kweku, first, what did the KPMG find regarding the fees paid to SML since?
So if you look at the KPMG report, it says up to date, KPMG has actually been paid 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. It will be recalled that a few weeks back, when the presidency issued their report, they quoted 1 billion. The difference is about 400 million Ghana cedis, and CSOs are saying there might have been a cover-up there. But if you look at the KPMG report, it appears what the presidency were quoting were the net payment, that is 1 billion and 61 million Ghana cedi. But if you look in terms of the real gross amount that GRA have paid to SML since the deal started, it is 1.4 billion Ghana cedis.
And we're also now learning that SML did not pay taxes on some of the payments made by the state.
Well, yes, so from this 1.4 billion Ghana cedi that have paid to SML, they had to pay some taxes. And if you look at the report, it says during the period from September 2020 to April 2021, a bulk payment to SML covering invoices for 8-month period did not have VAT and withholding tax deductions amounting to 13.38 million cedis. This contradicts GRA's standard practice of deducting SEC taxes from payments that have made to SML. Additionally, SML failed to fulfill its statutory obligations by neither filing returns nor remitting these taxes to GRA. And pursuant to the some section 71(1) of the RA Act, the accrued interest on the tax liability is now estimated to be 18.5 million Ghana cedis owed by SML to GRA. The total amount now that SML owes GRA in terms of taxes is 31.88 million Ghana cedis. KPMG says they've drawn GRA attention to this. GRA have since written to SML demanding this 31.88 million Ghana cedis.
Now let's go through the approvals that GRA did not seek before signing this contract. We're learning about the board, PPA, and then Parliament.
Yes, so starting from Parliament, if you look at Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act, it provides that an entity must seek ministerial and parliamentary approval when it's entering into an agreement with financial commitments that binds the government of Ghana for more than 1 year. But if you look at this, the contract that was signed between SML and GRA, that is the Revenue Assurance Agreement, is actually a multi-year commitment. And according to KPMG, this should have gone to Parliament for approval. The contract binds both the GAG and, according to the PFMA, both parliamentary approval and the written approval of the finance minister were necessary to enter into this agreement, and there was no evidence of parliamentary approval. If you look at the PPA bid, it says that Act 663 mandates that they should have also gone to PPA, and DRA on 3 separate occasions sought PPA approval to contract SML, then was called SMEL, using the single source method, specifically on 16 June 2017, 1st August 2017, and 14 September. All these 3 requests were rejected by PPA, and PPA's arguments at the time was that SMEL lacked the capacity and prior experience in providing the subject matter services. Then SMEL changed its name to SML on the 22nd of November 2021, and then that contract was subsumed under an existing West Below contract. If you look at the evidence that the KPMG found, they said that should have gone to the PP. And then finally, the board bit. It says that the board should have actually deliberated on this and signed on to this. But GRA actually signed this deal in 2018 and 2019 without submitting anything to the board for deliberation and approval. But GRA has a response. They say that the board had established a threshold of 4 million cedi for the value of significant projects that require the board's approval.
Okay, so but in all this, the report also says that SML did some work that has led to some increase in revenue to the states. Let's talk about it.
Yes, if you look at it, it says, based on the analysis using ESLA reported liftings as the pre-SML average in the table above, and they provide a certain annexure, the incremental recorded volume that is attributable to the involvement of SML is determined as 1.70 billion litres for the period. This works toward a monthly average of 38.6 million litres per month. The incremental revenue that is attributable to the involvement of SML is 2.45 billion Ghana cedis. KPMG says the work that SML did at least saved the country 2.45 billion cedis.
Kweku, thank you so much for breaking that report for us. There's more of the findings on myjoyonline.com, and subsequently we'll be bringing you other aspects of this report. But staying on whether SML saved the state some revenue, the journalist who led the Fourth Estate team to conduct this investigation, Manasseh Azuria-Wune, does not agree with this portion of the finding that SML contributed to an increase in tax revenue, given its work in the petroleum sector. He spoke on the Super Morning Show.
What this report has failed to say and cannot say is how SML kept these or help to improve revenue. When even the measurement SML takes, those measurements are not used for tax purposes. So the question we should be asking KPMG is, how can you attribute the growth to SML? Because there are many companies that are doing these services. And the question, a simple question I have not heard SML answer, is whether they are checking diversion, whether they are checking dilution, whether they are checking under declaration or under reporting. We are losing revenue through these anomalies. The company that is being credited with the success is not performing any of these.
We can now hear from private legal practitioner and member of We Citizens CSO movement, Martin Pebu, who says the damning revelations in the report makes it imperative for the state to terminate the deal immediately.
We asked for the termination of the contract, which is very clear actually, and then prosecution of SML officials and the Minister for Finance and his people, Furiata and his people, for causing financial loss. Because I've seen parts of the reports, the ones that are showing that SML didn't deliver. So we need to now quantify how much we lost and to hold Furiata and the other persons involved for this loss. And also, let's not forget, we need to terminate this agreement because, you see, Aisha, you know it very well. In law, when an agreement is void, the Supreme Court has made it clear that when an agreement like that is void, public agencies shouldn't pay money.
Well, we've been hearing from the national chairman of the opposition NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, on this matter, and he claims the president published the report because the minority leadership insisted after a meeting with him.
It was a condition that Dr. Atuforsen gave when there was a meeting between the president and the leadership of parliament. The president was trying to get their concurrence on
a number of issues.
And the approval of this agreement.
This was part of what the NDC said.
So yeah, we said that look, we suspected there was something wrong, and then you put KPMG there to verify. The report is in. You don't want us to see it, and yet you want us to proceed to go and approve something. So publish it for every Ghanaian to know, so that we will see that what you are presenting to Parliament actually contains the corrective actions.
That's the NDC chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Well, we've been hearing or finding out details from the Mines and Energy Committee on this particular report and what their immediate reactions are. Kwekwa Sante is still with me in the studio, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. What are we learning?
Well, chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atachia, says the committee is actually coming to start the investigation that Parliament ordered it to conduct. And in fact, they've written to the presidency getting this report, and they expect that within the week they'll start their report. We've also been checking with the SML whether they have some comments. They are not available for comments now, and they are studying the report that KPMG has fully published and will come out appropriately.
That's my colleague Kwekwa Sante. Now let's focus on the Social Security and National Insurance Trust and the controversy surrounding SNIT's decision to sell off its stake in 4 hotels to the Food and Agricultural Minister Brian Champong in his Rock City Hotel. Minister for Information Fatimatu Abubakar has been defending the recent deal between SNIT and Rock City, saying it will aid in restructuring SNIT and facilitating its recovery. During a courtesy visit to the Multimedia Group Limited aimed at engaging the ministry stakeholders and outlining current programs being implemented, the minister urged the public to view the owner of Rock City Hotels not merely as a cabinet minister, but as a dedicated Ghanaian investor committed to enhancing these properties and supporting SNIT's growth.
If these are open calls published in newspapers for everyone with interest to also come and show interest, and then all of a sudden, because a Ghanaian, irrespective of political parties, a Ghanaian with capacity and with the means to inject capital and take some shares so that he is able to revamp the businesses, upgrade the assets. Have we looked at the processes that SNIT had to go through over the period? Did we have queries? Why were those queries not raised? Is it only because this person is also politically exposed? All of a sudden, his credit score is not taken into consideration, his financial capacity that precedes his political office and even precedes his coming into office as.
That's Information Minister Fatimatu Abubakar. But the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, says the deal lacks transparency and fairness and is demanding Shraj thoroughly investigates the sale and possible colluding and conflict of interest in the deal.
benefits.
So if you are dealing with people's pensions, in the wake of a situation where pensioners have been asked to come for a haircut, people shouldn't keep quiet. It must be transparent.
But I'm asking, is it
And there are
they say they went through a process, went through all the protocols, and his outfit emerged on top. Should we deny him merely because he's a political figure and his party?
Whether they have gone through the process or not is now a subject for SRAG investigation. How did it get to the selection of Brian Champon's company to handle it? And the third leg of the argument is that an honorable member of parliament, who is also a minister of state, buying state property, have all the precautions been taken to ensure that it is fair and proper for such a person to buy a state property?
That's Johnson Asiedu Nketia there speaking to my colleague Benjamin Akakbo on the AM show, available on all our social media platforms. But former Director General of SNIT, Ernest Thompson, is calling on the Trust Board to halt Rock City Hotel's purchase of that 60% stake of SNIT-owned hotels.
That at this stage, it might be necessary for the SNIT Board to just stop the transactions.
Why?
Because, one, the procedure they've used is not the best. You see, SNIT is a pension fund and it's a long-term investor. It is not a bank holding deposit. So SNIT investments are analyzed from various perspectives. You just therefore don't exit from SNIT investments that way.
Well, anti-corruption campaigner Edem Senanu is also urging the SNIT to abrogate the entire deal.
The legal way to show that there's no connection between you and the operational actions is that you are not there. You are not there on paper.
So if you are a government operative, your government is in power, you shouldn't do business?
No. If you can do business, but if that business is going to approach government in a procurement process that would then require that we have to cross-check these things, then you have an issue. It is worse so when that business you are doing is now coming to government,
right,
and saying that I want to go through a bidding process, because it's assumed that as a public officer, you have networks, you have friends, you have influence. That gives you an advantage, an undue advantage from the rest of the people. So it's not a fair and level playing field when others also submit their bids. And so that's the thinking. It's not about Ghana law. This is international best practice.
That's anti-corruption crusader Edem Senanu there speaking on the Pulse on the Joy News channel.
Oh, I'm talking to my lawyer, please.
Sounds from the Dansuman court today, and if the court is granted, Hobson Adoye, a leading figure in the movement for change bail, set at 20,000 cedis with two sureties. The decision followed Adoye's arrest and subsequent court appearance on Thursday, May 23, 2024. Adoye was arrested after making claims on an Accra-based radio station, which have since gone viral, alleging that dynamite detonated in the Volta region during the 2016 general elections was done by his party. Now, independent presidential candidate and Alliance for Revolutionary Change leader Alan Chemanting visited Hobson Adoye in custody ahead of his appearance in court. Well, my colleague Latif Idris joins us on the line with more details from the court. Latif, what more do we know?
Yeah, Emefa, what we know right now is that Mr. Adoye and his legal representation are currently at the Ministry's police station, where he was arrested and detained overnight in a frantic attempt to secure and execute the bail that has been granted by the Dansuman Circuit Court. We also understand that a team of evaluators are currently evaluating the property that is to be justified. You know, he's been granted bail up to the tune of 20,000 Ghana cedis with two sureties, one of them to be justified. So what we are picking, and this is significant, is that a team of evaluators are currently evaluating that property and the person whose property has to be justified in order for Mr. Adoye to secure this bail condition that have been granted by the Dansuman Circuit Court, Emefa.
That's a legal affairs correspondent Latif Idris, but thankfully a leading member of his party, that's the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, Yao Boabien Samoa, joins us on the line with some more on what we are learning about this particular case involving Hobson Adoye. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. We've been interacting with a member of your party. What exactly is going on, Mr. Yao Boabien Samoa?
First of all, let me clarify the bail terms. They are not justifying properties. They are going to see where the sureties lay so that the police can assure themselves that they are aware of where they are. So it's a process that will soon be over.
Maybe we should stay on the bail. Have we been able to conclude all the processes as you talk about?
Very, very soon it will be finished. Because of the traffic, they have to drive through heavy traffic to go to the homes where the sureties lay to ensure that they satisfy themselves that this indeed is where those sureties are. They can find them whenever they need them. So as soon as that's done, it will be ready. It's ready for execution based on this identification process. So the hope is that in another hour, we should be able to finish that. So Mr. Adoyen can leave for his home.
Well, Mr. Babian, so in your interaction with him, though, I'm curious, you were in the NPP back then also. Did you actually detonate dynamite in my region, the Volta region?
I have never heard anything of the sort. I have never heard anything of the sort. And then it's for the police to justify what they say. He said it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I am not in a position to qualify the terms of what happened in terms of substance. The only thing I remember, which is curious, is that in the tape that the police seek to rely on, Hobson is heard clearly saying that he informed the then candidate, now president, about happenings as he supposed to have been telling the public or the people he was speaking to in the tape. That he actually informed the president, then candidate. So it's a very murky situation. I am not in a position to determine whether or not at this time those claims of what happened are true or not.
Well, there were no such plans back then.
I can't tell. I don't know anything about it.
But
I don't know anything about it.
But I'm sure you've been finding out from him where this is actually coming from.
I don't have to, because the point is that this was 2016, and this is not the first time Mr. Adoye has said anything about of this nature. And at the time, he may have said that he was in the MPP. So the MPP in part didn't find it necessary to question him, because perhaps if it did happen, and I can't tell whether it happened or not, if it did happen, it benefited them. But all of a sudden, now that he's spokesperson for the movement for change, and they seem to be pierced by some of his pronouncements, they decided that he's a criminal and that they must deal with him. That's politics. So let's see how the politics goes.
Okay. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. Still in court, though, the Supreme Court has ordered for a substituted service on MP for Tolong Habibu Idris after several failed attempts to effect court processes on him. Broja Jemfi is invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce provisions of the 1992 Constitution relating to the qualification of the MP. Head of our Legal Affairs Desk, Richard Kujonyako, joins me in studio with details of this particular case. And why is the court giving you this order?
Well, so Broja Jemfi filed the writ at the Supreme Court invoking its original jurisdiction, including the statement of case, and caused them to be served on the defendants. So if you look at the defendants, they are the MP for Tolong Habibu Idris, the Electoral Commission, and the Attorney General. And Emefa, the available records at the registry of the court indicate that the EC and the AG have been served, but service on the MP has not been successful. And ever since the processes were filed, the plaintiff told the court that he has not rested in making all efforts in ensuring that the MP, who is the first defendant in this case, is served, but to no avail. So consequent to all of these developments, the registry of the Apex Court officially wrote to him on their inability to serve the MP. In fact, because he is an MP, apart from attempting personal service, attempt to serve him through the Clerk of Parliament also failed, according to the court registry. So motion ex parte for order of court for substituted service was filed and has been granted by the court. And so by this notice, copies will be pasted on the notice board of the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the Parliament as well.
But briefly, though, what's the case really against this MP?
Also, the writ was filed at the Apex Court on November 7, 2022 by Broja Jemfi. He argues that the MP was allegedly convicted of fraud in Australia prior to the 2020 election and therefore was not qualified to be a legislator per Article 94(2)(c).
Okay, thank you very much. That's the head of our legal affairs desk, Richard Kojonyako, there, giving us all the details about that case. On that legal note, we take a quick break here on the Midday News. Live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and Kumasi, on Love 99.5 FM, made possible by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity, Duraplus, where Duraplus goes, water flows. We return from the break with sports, and the research conducted shows that some young girls in Ghana engage in sex to be able to purchase sanitary pads during their menstruation.
The findings that blew my mind was where girls have to go in to have sex with their male counterparts for them to get money to buy this sanitary products.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Well. How is your good life?
Mine has been great, you know. My entire family and I sleep under an insecticide-treated net every night, throughout the night, and wake up feeling sound every day with absolutely no mosquito bite.
My good life has been terrific. My entire family and I, we wash our hands with soap and running water before we cook and eat, and after using the toilet, we don't play with it.
When my wife was pregnant, I accompanied her to every antenatal session. She took all her medication, ate balanced diet, and gave birth without any complications. My good life has been smooth.
Let's all come aboard Good Life and live healthy and happy. Good Life, live it well. It's an everyday thing. Good Life from Ghana Health Service and partners with support from USAID.
December is just around the corner and our nation stands at a crossroads. Will we continue down the same path or will we forge a new one together? The choice is ours, but we need every voice to be heard. That is why the New Force is investing time and resources to educate and encourage everyone about the voters ID card registration. To all of you out there unsure if your vote matters, your voice matters. Your vote is your power and your opportunity to shape the future of our motherland. Don't let others decide for you. Don't stay silent. Get up, get out there, and get your voter's ID card today. Make sure you are ready to make a difference when the time comes. Don't delay. Act now. From the 7th to the 27th of May, and on the 30th of May, you can replace all missing ID cards. Every vote counts. Your vote, your destiny. A message from Nana Kwame Bediako and the New Force.
The regular football season is over. But not for us here at Supersport. We've got a big deal coming your way. Get connected to DSTV to see some of football's biggest names starring in all 51 matches of Euro 2024, live and in HD. Now that's a big deal.
Time for sports on the Midday News.
Yes, so Ghana's amputee team, the Black Challenge, are on course to retain their Africa Cup of Nations title. They defeated Kenya to book a place at the quarterfinals, where they will face Tanzania later today. But their hope of winning that game and ultimately clinching the trophy is in jeopardy with no support from government. Here's the team's captain, Richard Arthur.
It's like every time that we are supposed to go for a tournament, there is no motivation. There is no motivation at all. And sometimes these things disturb us. We always feel that, why is it that we people with disabilities, when the nation needs to support us, they always scare away from those responsibilities. We find it very, very difficult to understand. It's about time the nation also show their love, so that whatever we are doing, we do it well, and then our lives become better.
And Emefa, that's your sport.
Well, let me take you to Teshi Nungwa now. It's time for our filth exhibition. Sweetie Abochi has more.
Welcome to the home of filth. Where are we? A home of families. Let me tell you the story. Just about 100 meters from the sea and the filth, our settlement. People actually live here in Accra.
The things we see here are just horrible. Sometimes my children and I sitting out here like this, cooking, and people come to dump rubbish right here and burn it. The smoke drives us inside sometimes when it gets uncomfortable.
If you've ever wondered, much like myself, about the final destination of these tricycle rubbish operators, popularly known as Aboboya Bola cars, then it would interest you to find out that for most of them within the Teshinugua communities, this here at Staff College is their final destination, with no consideration for the human dignity of the people who live here.
When you come to this Kofi Annan beach, you cannot swim. People dump rubbish here and even defecate right here. And that's why this place is so filthy and stinks. Very bad. Because it's so unacceptable. The beach is no longer conducive for human activity.
Sweetie Abochi with our filth exhibition. And just before we head out, some young girls in Ghana are trading sex for money to be able to purchase sanitary towels. Well, this devastating revelation came from a survey conducted by Send Ghana, a non-governmental organization whose research has revealed that some ladies in some part of northern Ghana, southern Ghana, and some coastal areas are not able to afford sanitary pads and must engage in sexual activities. We'll bring you more from that report subsequently. And MNJ.
Yeah.
Quick
one, yeah. Dumsa is trending, Hobson Adore is trending, and then 19 Ghana CDs is also trending.
Hashtag championship mistake
is also trending. Yeah. 19 Ghana CDs is trending because some Ghanaians are not happy with the exchange rates. So yesterday we posted some currency news. Dollar down 15.15, the pound 19 Ghana CDs, and then the euro 16.30. This one here says, we have the men, Sana area boys, and it's coming from Eric Boateng. Attila Kojo Francis says, from the look of things, we may be nearing another 1983.
We go.
Well, yeah, and this one also says that by December, now it has reached 25 Ghana.
And you know what?
People are saying
They have actually cut excerpts of Guru's song Enkoyi, and that's what you're using to.
Like this one.
Yeah, that's it.
How we end today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa. Apawu. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. The Father and His Household, episode 4. Please stay.